right, welcome back everybody to another edition of the Artist Retrospective. This is the video series that I do where I spotlight an artist and just kind of go over some of their history, some of their best covers, their highest priced best-selling covers, as well as maybe a little bit more extra information and some of my personal favorites from their portfolio. Now, I put this out there with a couple of options for you guys this past week of which artists you wanted to see. I think I added Milo Manara, Jenny Frizen, and I can't remember, J.G. Jones as options. But overwhelmingly, the winner was Surprise Me. So you guys are going to be surprised this week with who I chose as my artist to spotlight. Hopefully you like this series, and what I'm doing here, I actually stole or borrowed another segment from Marco and I's Totally Awesome Coolest Show Ever that I'm using for this series because it made sense. So hopefully you like that too. Let me know what you think in the comments. Some of the artists you guys might want to see who I don't already have on my to-do list. And hopefully you're liking this. And if you are, please like, subscribe, hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. And just hang on for a second after the intro, and I'll be back with this week's artist. Okay, so as I teased in the open, this week was going to be a surprise for you guys. You didn't want any of the options that I threw out there, or sometimes I know a lot of people just don't want to be surprised. They don't want to know what to expect until it's here. So I get that, and that's probably how I would have voted too had the poll been out for me. I'm going to try to do a poll every day in some kind, whether it be about content on the channel or just general information about what you guys like to watch, what you guys are reading, stuff like that. Just things that pop into my head every day. Hopefully you like that and take part, because I utilize the information in what I'm going to provide you guys. So please check out the daily poll if you can. That being said, this week's artist is going to be, hopefully I say it properly, Julien Totino Tedesco. I'm just going to say Tedesco the rest of the way out, but he is an underrated artist, in my opinion. He's done covers for a few years now, and a bunch of covers. It's surprising the amount of covers to me that he's been able to get through with not as much recognition as one would expect. He is a digital artist, after all. I mean, he does do, from what I can tell from his style, he does sketch it out and pencils and inks, but then does the coloring, and it almost comes out in like a painterly quality, but it's digital painting, which I kind of dig. So Tedesco, what do we have for him? There's a lot of options of things that we can go and cover. I mean, he's relatively a young guy for this comic book game. I think he's under 40, and he's down in Brazil, in Buenos Aires, which always makes me think of Who's Harry Crumb for whatever reason.
That's right, baby. Buenos Aires.
Buenos Aires, is it?
But he started his career way back in like 2008, 2009, I think. And he started working for like movie studios and advertising. So he was doing things like, I think like storyboards, maybe some background work, and, just coming up with some concepts for advertising, I suppose, is what I gather. I tried to dig in and really get into some of the things he worked on, some of the films he might have worked on, but the information was actually sparse. So short of me trying to do an interview with him, this is what I could find. So he did do concept art for commercials and some animated backgrounds for animated movies, which just makes it seem like he just was more of a background guy. He didn't really get his shot until he got to work for Boom Studio. This image, this stuff that I put up is not his work. I just needed some kind of image just to kind of paint the picture of what we're talking about here. But his first comic work that he got, from what I gathered, is from Boom Studios. So at Boom in like 2008, 2009, he got to work on a couple of titles, doing covers and some interiors on some of these titles. I think The Remnant was one of the first ones, if not the first cover that he got to do. And then Unthinkable, I believe he did the interiors on this, because that's not his cover there down below. And then Codebreakers, we can see that his styles kind of to grow and expand, because what you're going to see as we go through his portfolio is he doesn't just do a standard, like, one image. Like some of the artists I know, and I'm a fan of quite a few of them, do like just hero shots or just the same poses kind of over and over again. He does a lot of different mixes of a lot of stuff comes out looking like movie posters, and just interesting angles and different perspectives, and definitely an interesting take on a lot of this stuff. But we'll get into that as we go in a little bit deeper onto his work, because I can't really go too much in the history, because like I said, there's not a lot available to be found over on the internet for him. But after working with Boom, he went on to go work for basically every other publisher in the game, from Marvel to DC, Dark Horse, and Valiant, and has done covers, interiors, and whatever they would let him do. And like I said, his style is one that I can kind of pick out now. I can see it once I look at the art. I can just tell just the tone of it, just the wash, just the painterly quality to it. This is not a cover. This is just a piece of art that I found of his, of Death, which I really dug, so I wanted to work it in. But his covers are just really like worthy of versions. Like a lot of these you can see, like this is a virgin image, and then you add the trade dress, which doesn't take a lot away from this one, but still on its own, that first image I showed you, it is just gorgeous in its own right. I mean, you look at this stuff, sometimes the trade dress can take a little bit away, because if you look at this one, once you add the trade dress here, it kind of blocks the top half of that image too much, in my opinion. So it's just taking too much of a chunk out of what was there previously. Whereas in other cases, it just does kind of fill that empty space, which it's not too bad. And I'm not too disturbed by the trade dress. So it really depends. But his art is fantastic to me. And you can notice his little signature down below, the little TT, it looks like inside of a circle, is an easy way to identify a cover of his. So keep an eye out for that. But like I said, this stuff is just gorgeous. It does look like it was painted. This actually has like a charcoal kind of quality to it, almost like it's on a rough paper with colored pencils. But again, he does digital art, so digital coloring over his pencils and inks. But like I said, sometimes the trade dress doesn't take away too much from the image. It does squeeze in there nicely. So I gotta appreciate that. Now, what can we say about this artist? He has been nominated 3 times now. 3 times The Bridesmaid and Not the Bride, unfortunately. But 3 times now he was nominated for Best Cover Artist in 2018, 2019, and 2020. You can see he was nominated for Hawkeye, and then Hawkeye and Life of Captain Marvel, and then Daredevil, which is another great run. All great runs, including a run he did way back on Thunderbolts that is also really, really fantastic. But if you just look at what I'm talking about here, it's like each image is really unique in its own right. And you can see the Life of Captain Marvel. You can see just the mirror, utilizing the mirror in that way and filling the empty space, which a lot of this cover is empty, but it is well balanced just by what he put out there. It's fantastic. As is the Daredevil. This Daredevil run was really cool. There's a lot of cool covers from this run, the most recent Daredevil run, and we'll see a couple of more of these later down the line. But this number 1 and this number 4 are just great. This number 4 apparently is picked up in value a little bit. It almost made the top 5 list, but just came up a hair short. I think it's like $30 now, and you can see why. Just that Daredevil face on his chest is just awesome. I dig it. The 3 colors. I know I always say David Aja with the 3 colors, that I give black, white, and red to any artist. That's who I'd give it to, but I don't know. Tedesco's making an argument here. But this is if you count grays, because there's a little grayscale here. So for counting grays, I'm going to put Tedesco in that mix too. And then, as I said, nominated for 2 years as his run on Hawkeye stretched. This is the Kate Bishop Hawkeye, by the way, which is seeing a lot of interest these days with the Disney Plus show on the way. But you can see these covers are not standard. It's not like one simple thing. I mean, we're working in props with the desk and the lights, the background, taking different sized images where you're going with a little more obscure, like this Madame Mask with the arm sticking out of it. Just different takes and different perspectives and different options. It's not just, again, just some superhero action pose where they're just standing on the front like, hey, look how cool I am. This stuff is just great to me, like just taking these mug shots and slapping them down on the table, or going down low and taking a shot up like it's almost like a photo of these two hanging out on a pier. Great stuff, in my opinion. Definitely great stuff. And as I said, this Hawkeye run is really been gathering a lot of interest because Kate Bishop, as we know, is going to be in the Disney Plus Hawkeye show with Clint Barton. And this series, basically the whole run, which is about 16 issues, this is the last issue of this particular run. He did all the covers, and they are all worth picking up. And we'll see it right here as we start in on the top 5 covers. I'm going to mix this in a little bit early before we get into some of the other stuff. But the top 5 covers for him, we're going to start off with issue 1 of that Hawkeye run, which is just great cover. I love this cover. Yes, this is more of that pose, but just the way that the background is with that yellow pop and the purple of her outfit, even though it is more of a washed monotone look, the colors still pop, if that makes any sense. And then just the circle background with Venice Beach in the back is definitely cool to me. Definitely a really cool cover, and one that's been gathering a lot of steam lately again. I know it popped before, and it looks like it might be popping a little bit now. And it does feature a first appearance of, I think, Ramona Watts, I think is her friend. It's, again, speculation aside. It is a cool book, but it is number 5 on Tedesco's top 5 covers, and this one comes in at about $40. Look, this is $40 at auction, which ain't too bad these days. And that was just September 18th, so that was just today that finished. Today that I'm filming this on the 18th. And then going on to number 4, this is Avengers number 3. This is a 1 in 25 incentive variant. I actually did grab this one not that long ago for cheap, and I'm glad that I did, because this book's starting to pick up a little bit. It is part of that Kang run with that had the Alex Ross covers on the regular issues. Again, this is the incentive, so this is the 1 in 25 incentive that's featuring, you know, this new Avengers team taking on Kang in this Kang War. But this number 4, this is coming in at about $50, $50 raw. Once again, I'm only looking at raw books because just graded, it's not always easy to find apples to apples 9.8s to do a straight comparison. So I felt like raw is the way to go with just doing a quick price valuation for this. So that will take us to our number 3. And this book, I'm surprised at how much this has gone up over the last couple of months. I remember this Daredevil 2 in particular. I remember the second print for this, which is one that I'm going to have to go back and cover again, maybe in forgotten reprints one of these days. But this number 3, this Daredevil 2, is the first appearance of Detective Cole North, who is has a nice little role in the Daredevil run, and maybe he's got a larger role ahead. And perhaps that's why the speculation has focused in on this book, driving it up a little bit. But I mean, $60 now for this Daredevil 2, the regular copy, is quite impressive. I'd never really looked for the regular copy. I was only hunting that second print because, again, Detective Cole North is on the cover. They used the interior panel for that second print, so that is why that one I know was hot for a little bit. I found a couple. I think I still have 1 or 2 left. But surprised to see the regular number 2 is going for this much. But it is a gorgeous cover. I mean, that red is just like really popping off of that page. And I love the birds in the background. And it is just a great cityscape image. And Daredevil, you know, moving into action. So some of them are that action pose that I was saying they're not all like that, but there are some mixed in. Now, this will take us to our number 2 book, which is actually the one I got sitting right next to me, which I am a fan of. I like this Moon Knight number 2, also a 1 in 25 incentive from you know, one of the more recent runs of Moon Knight. Not the most recent run because they renumbered it as it was going through, but this was at the start of it, and definitely a cool image. I just kind of dig it, just that black and white. It's very simple. Just the crazy look in his eyes. I'm a fan of this cover. So this one is coming in at number 2 because raw. We got a sale for $100. Not too bad. Not too bad for this 1 in 25. And like I said, it's not that easy to get, and I'm happy that I got one, and I'm happy that I got one in 9.8. This was my copy that I sent in to get graded, by the way. I didn't buy it as 9.8. I bought it raw and submitted it myself, which will take us to our number 1 book for Tedesco. And I was surprised by this, not because of the book, but I didn't even realize this was him who did this series, but he did the covers for The Last of Us, American Dreams. This comic book from Dark Horse is one that is seeing a lot of interest lately. As we know, there is an adaptation coming. So a lot of people are looking at this book, and this book is getting pricey. There are 3 printings for this first issue, but this is the first print that we're looking at for our purposes here. And this book is, like I said, not cheap. I found one that sold at auction with 3 bids for $217.50. Which is why it's taken that top spot just a couple of weeks ago. Definitely a cool series, and you know, based off that video game. And like I said, we are getting a show. I think is it on HBO Max? Is it Amazon? I forget which streaming service it's going to be on, but I think there's a streaming show coming quite soon featuring this. I think it's on HBO Max though. But that is our top 5 covers. But don't worry, I got another top 5 coming in later, and that's what I'm borrowing from our Totally Awesome Coolest Show Ever. But we'll get to that. Before we get that other list of 5, we're going to mix it in, and we'll just talk a little bit more about some of my other favorites of his, because he has a lot of really, really good covers. Now, I'm going to kind of portion these out just a tiny bit, and we're going to start in first by looking at his work over at DC. Now, some of this stuff is just like, hey, Mystic U, I remember that. It's a 3-issue series. He did all 3 covers. I just kind of dig it. It's fun. You get a nice little Zatanna. He also did a couple issues with Harley Quinn doing the covers. This was a cover A, actually, and I think this was one of those the foils from that month where they did the A's had that foil like sheen to them, which a lot of them just didn't work too well. But the red on this one definitely worked, as well as this other one he did for that month. This Batgirl with the gold, I kind of dig. So, couple of covers for Tedesco here in the DC universe, including, we've got Raven, and you can see here how you have the characters just filling out inside that like demonic horse. Just this really cool cover. And again, I love the layouts. It's always interesting to see how he chooses to lay these things out, even if it is just a fighting pose that fills the page like this in Savage Hawkman number 12. Or the B cover, So I do like the limited trade dress covers that DC does on their B covers, because then it allows the art to just kind of shine. And you can see his style can go from some of that more impressionist kind of vibes that we were getting there with some of the way the layouts were playing out, or there's just really classic Norman Rockwell-esque Superman, almost Alex Ross type style with this Action Comics 1030 here, where it's great image. And then he can shift over and do something that's more a noir kind of vibe here with Catwoman. It's just a lot of tools in his tool belt, and I always appreciate that when an artist can do a lot of different things. So that is some of his stuff from DC, which will take us to some of the stuff he's done for independents. I only picked out a few here because we already covered a few of those booms at the start, so I'm not going to duplicate efforts and talk about those again. So we're looking at things like this FOC cover for Black Badge? Yeah, is that the Boy Scout book? Definitely a cool cover. It's a lot of empty space here, but I still like how the characters are laid out, and it is a nice little image there, as well as this Death or Glory cover with just that pink is just making her pop right towards you, even though she's basically in black and white. It's definitely an interesting play at color there that I do enjoy. And then he can even go with something more, more classic with Power Rangers. I mean, a Power Rangers cover here. I mean, look at Rita Repulsa there in the background. It looks just like her, but not in a weird like photorealistic way. It's recognizable as her, but still comic book form, which again I do like. And again, this has that kind of like colored pencil kind of like sheen to it, which is also just seems like it's just sketched on the front of somebody's dust jacket. Like just I don't know, I dig it, definitely dig it. As well as this series that has now long been forgotten. It had high hopes for 7 to Eternity to be this long running epic, and unfortunately it's all over. But I do like this this almost like a character profile that we have here. Definitely pretty cool. Now, that was some of the independent stuff. The bulk of what I chose to kind of cover, and I think most of his work has been with Marvel, so this is going to be the largest section of my favorites, and we're going to do a nice little healthy dip into his Thunderbolts run, because like I mentioned at the start, apart from that Hawkeye run and the Daredevil run, this Thunderbolts run is just fantastic. Like, fun team up. I know Marco and I got into this on that Totally Awesome Coolest Show Ever a tiny bit. Like, we wanted to really get into this later team, but just haven't really gotten to it yet. But this Red Hulk, Elektra, Punisher, Deadpool, this more hardcore like assassin killer type team, and Agent Venom as well, definitely is an interesting lineup. And just some of these covers are just great. I mean, this is a classic #1, and there's later printings as well you want to keep an eye out for, so you get the recolored border at the bottom. But we check out like this issue 7. It's just Punisher and Elektra. It's just awesome. It's almost like a negative space with that with the black background there and just the red, and love it. And then this Deadpool cover where he's holding Castle's shirt is also just, there's just so much red, and with the blood, it's just, again, just awesome layouts and just different takes and different perspectives, and just interesting art. And this is on issue 8 for that Thunderbolts run. And then we can move on to our next one, which is number 11, which is just like a menacing looking Elektra. Just the look in her eyes is just, it just cuts right through to you. And then we can go and shift to something a little bit on the more the lighter side, a little bit more silly, with Deadpool chilling inside a pizza parlor while the rest of the team's out in the outside fighting in the street. Also, just a cool take, and again, painterly quality to it, but it is just something different. And that's the thing I can only stress so much, but each cover is just unique on its own. Like, this has nothing to do with Punisher and Elektra making out, or the team jumping into action, or but you just look, it's just fun, but still classic in a way. Just the team almost like on a road trip. You got Deadpool in the back flying a kite, Elektra and Castle there arguing like they're the parents, while everybody else is just kind of chilling and waiting for them to get back on their way. I don't know, just a fun idea and a fun book. As well as, then we have Ghost Rider here with Mephisto. It's again, I just really dig these covers, and suggest you go out. If you can find these things for cheap, I would say add the whole run, because they are all fantastic, even though I'm only showing you a few. I mean, we're up to issue number 22. I'm already showing you like a third of the run, but really do yourself a favor. I mean, you just look at this layout, and there's the characters in the jungle inside the head. It's just, I love it. I dig it. I dig it a lot. But he's also done more than just Thunderbolts. I'm not going to say he's only done Thunderbolts. He's also done things like Angela, Queen of Hell here. We get a nice little perspective of her sitting on the throne, which is definitely cool, and can mix it up with characters that are a lot different, with Ant-Man, the astonishing Ant-Man here, hiding behind those chips. Again, the perspective and just the thought process. And, well, where's he going to put them? We're going to put them on a poker table with the ants, and he's going to hide behind chips while they're playing cards. And then we can move on to that Black Knight run, which has some really cool variants for issues 1, 2, and 3, but incentive variants, I should say, because I think issue 5 had a B cover that was also done by Tedesco. But Tedesco did the regular covers for all 5 of these, and it's a great little run. I suggest you pick it up. It's cool. Weird World, Black Knight, fun read. I don't know if we'll ever get anything like that, but it could be something fun for them to adapt if they ever got around to that. But with all the things on Marvel's plate, I doubt we're going to get that kind of spotlight into Black Knight. But who knows? Maybe he really gathers a lot of attention off of Eternals and can spin off into his own thing. I don't know. I suppose we'll see. And then he also, Uncanny X-Force, which again is just that more hardcore team of X-Men. And he did a great job doing these covers from, this is issue 33 for the Final Execution, just ending that run, that final issue of this run, of this volume of it. Again, Wolverine, Phantom X, Deadpool, Deathlock, just a lot of cool characters and a lot of fun on these covers. And as I said, just the difference in the way a lot of these are presented. I mean, here you've got just Uncanny X-Force number 4, this artist appreciation cover. It's just great. I mean, granted, it makes me think of the was it pointillism from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, when Cameron's just staring in at the art. That's what this one makes me think of, because that's, I'm assuming, how he did this one. But it's fantastic that he's able to pull off something like this, as well as something a little bit more classical here, as you get the Aphrodite kind of coming out of the clamshell. I think that's who it is. I could be wrong with my original paintings, but this is an FF, I think, the artist appreciation cover that he did as well. And as I said, we're getting into it. He's done quite a few variants along the way for Marvel, including this Patsy Walker Hellcat, which is kind of fun, gives you a kind of nice little throwback Archie vibe. Like, this might be something that you would have gotten back with a little Cheryl Blossom or something like that in a little magazine from back in the day. It even has like a lot of that wear and tear like built in to how the cover's presenting it. As well as this Luke Cage, which is also really cool. When you have the Luke Cage, it's almost like it's a poster or a mural on a wall, like on the street. It's just, I kind of love that layout. Again, just interesting takes and interesting ways to depict, a scene, an image to to present on the comic. It's definitely really cool, and that's Luke Cage #3 on that one. And again, you can go back to the classic Spidey poses going into action here. So you got Spider-Geddon #0, and just have these guys just flying right off into action. Or ASM 61, another variant that he did. But again, like the characters down below, they have this, again, like a Norman Rockwell type of like a vibe to them. Meanwhile, you got Spidey swinging above them on 6th and 51st. So it's definitely really cool stuff. Some of which can look, again, like a movie poster. This just screams movie poster to me here on this Black Panther #23. It just looks like something that you would see in the cinema. Or this really demonic looking Captain America, or the nullified variant that he did. Like, not all the variants are incentives. Some of these are just kind of like the variant of the month kind of thing, like this nullified. But still, these are really cool variants, and it's going to take us into our next little segment to wrap us up soon. But we got a couple more. Solo #1. I dig that because, again, look at the different styles he's using here from the classic. Again, it's not pointillism because that's painting. I forget what that's called with the coloring. They did that on Crossover, that image book, where the backgrounds are painted that way in the one world. But then you can see like Miles is more the traditional art cover, art, while each character is almost like drawn in their own different comic book method, style, or form. And I really kind of dig that too. So pretty cool, even if it's a book just as random as Solo. And then this was probably my favorite Marvel 1000 cover with She-Hulk. Just that 80s vibe that I think that was his decade that he got to do the cover for. And anyway, just look at it. It's awesome. And I think this thing still sells pretty well for all the Marvel 1000s that are out there. I mean, outside of that, the Mickey Mouse Disney one, I would grab this one if I had a chance at any of them. Like I said, so with these variants, I figured, you know what? There's a few more that we can talk about, and why not talk about these in top 5 variants on a budget? Yes, this is a little segment I do with Marco on our Wednesday show, but I felt like, you know what? I can do it here too, because it's my segment anyway. So these are 5 books that I kind of like that you can see that are pretty cheap, and pretty cheap variants. And they are all, again, spotlighting our artist, Tedesco. Julien Totino Tedesco, if I'm saying that properly. If not, we're just going to stick with Tedesco. But our first book that I want to talk about is this Invincible Iron Man #6. This is one of those, the story thus far variants, which I'm telling you, these things are harder to find than you would think. Like, I know the purpose of them was to kind of just recap what happened in the first few issues all in the cover, but these weren't incentives. These weren't, I think these might have been qualifying orders. I don't know, but I know these are not easy to find because a lot of shops, just with the multitude of covers, you got to order action figure covers and this cover or a theme month cover, yada, yada, yada. They didn't order a ton of everything. You just can't. So these story thus far covers are ones I always like to look for. And you can see it down at the bottom there. Story thus far is usually written on a little scroll. So this one, again, it's not an expensive book, but it's still a variant and one that's not easy to track down. So I'm going to say keep an eye out for it because this is a cool variant you can get for $4. I don't even have any sales that I could show you for this one. This is just a copy that's available right now that has 14 watchers. And why people aren't acting on $4, I don't know. It's cover price. Like, you just want to keep watching it? All right. I do that too. I shouldn't judge. I do it too. But again, no sold copies I could share. So I had to go with an asking price for this one. And our next one was one that was actually pretty pricey all out of the gate and has come down a lot. But I still find with covers like that, if they go down low enough, you gotta might want to think about buying back in because these are the types of things that will still last the test of time and probably bounce back again. And this is Tedesco's Harley Quinn cover for issue 57. This is the B cover. Just a great cover and a great image. And like I said, this thing was hot out of the gate. It was like $30-40 like the week it came out for a B cover on a DC book. But these days, it is not as high as it used to be. As we can see here, copy sold for $8 on 4 bids. So it's definitely taking a hit. But if you find it cheap enough, I'd recommend still grabbing one if you don't have one already because the price probably won't stay down that low for long. This will be one of those things that, like I said, slow build because people will remember. Those types of covers, people do remember, and they just hang around. They definitely hang around. An odd incentive to throw out here, not incentive, well, variant, is Thor, God of Thunder #9, which, yeah, that God of Thunder series has gotten a lot of heat with all the Gore the God Butchers and Thor's granddaughters and a lot of stuff in that run. There's 25 issues, has a lot of stuff in there, including it's a character named the Minotaur guy. I can't think of his name, but a lot of speculation that went to this Thor run. But it's surprising to see this random issue #9 had a Wolverine Through the Ages cover that doesn't even feature Thor on the cover, but it's still pretty cool. Emma Frost, Logan chilling on top of a down Sentinel. So it's definitely a really cool book just to keep an eye out for an interesting variant. One you don't see a lot, and one that you can still get for cheap. Again, $10 with free shipping. $10 for free shipping. So you basically paid cover and the shipping for it. Not too bad. I would do that personally. Now, my next book is one that I do own. I bought it really, really cheap just because I really like the cover. I use this as a pick for Westerns, I think, on 3 Comic Money once. But this Red Wolf #3 is just awesome. Like, I dig it. You got these bikers chasing him down with shotguns and just action, and it's just fantastic. It feels like a Western. It's very bright, but it's just awesome. I dig it. I definitely dig it. And this is a 1 in 25 on Red Wolf #3. So how many copies of this could be out there? Probably not many. I should have done the math on it like I was doing Chasing Ghosts, but I didn't get the print run on the regular Red Wolf. But if you wanted this book, like I said, I got one for cheap. $15 best offer. So it's under $15. Somebody paid for this. Definitely not too bad for a 1 in 25 of a really got to be a low print book, because who was ordering Red Wolf? And then our last one is just a really, really random book. I do not have this series. I kind of want to get this cover now because this is the final chapter. This is the Battle of the Lanterns for the Planet of the Apes. It's that Planet of the Apes Green Lantern crossover. I think they've actually done like a couple of these now, which a lot of these covers are really cool. I do dig this one. It definitely has that classic movie poster kind of feel, and is one that's not too bad still. This is an incentive variant, I believe, and for $20, again, no sold copies, but there is one available for $20 that you could buy it now. And then there's a bunch that was much more expensive, like in that like $40 to $50 range. But I found the $20 one, so since that was still out there as an option, I felt like this still felt that it fit on a budget, even though it's not a sold price. It is available for $20, at least at the time of me filming this. So hopefully you enjoyed that. These are just 5 variants that you can get for $20 or less. So just, cool stuff, cool, cheap stuff. And that's going to wrap us up for my artist retrospective on Julien Totino Tedesco. Hopefully you guys were surprised by this pick. Hopefully you like this pick. Hopefully if you didn't know a lot about Tedesco, you know a little bit more now and have a few of these covers that caught your eye that you'll say, you know what? When I'm out there digging, I'm going to look for a few of these because I like them. And that's the whole point. That's the whole reason why I'm doing this is just kind of spotlight an artist and just show some of the work that I like and share it with you guys and see if you guys like it too. If you find it for cheap, just get it. I don't know. This is a fun hobby, and collect how you want, buy what you want. But this is the stuff that I like covering, and this is the stuff that I like doing. So hopefully you enjoy this, and hopefully you're enjoying the stuff that I'm doing on the channel. So thanks for stopping by. If you want to be surprised next week or whenever I do this video series again, might try to do it weekly, but there's a lot of work that goes into this, so I might need to do it more like every other week. We'll see. We'll see how the schedule plays out, because I do have more shows than days in the week now. So I'll have to shuffle things around to make this work. But let me know if there's artists you still want to see. I will add them to the list, and we'll keep this thing moving and keep having fun. So once again, thanks for stopping in. Tell your friends. Let's keep that subscriber count growing up, because I will bring back giveaways soon. Don't know exactly when, but we'll do it again soon. And yeah, thanks for stopping in, and I will see you guys next time.